The phone didn't actually ring that I'm sure of. I carelessly picked up my phone and scanned the notifications. Like all other normal human beings in North America, I check my cell every 15 minutes for that sweet dopamine rush that comes with the notification of a new text or Snapchat message. I was pretty surprised when I saw that I had a missed call from 20 minutes ago. After all, my phone had been sitting in front of me on the table the whole time, and it usually emits an obnoxiously loud notification ping anytime anything happens. The thought that I missed my ringtone of Natalie Imbruglia's Torn, playing Leave Me Alone of Eerie half ironically, was surprising. I checked the notification, assuming it was most likely spam, and was surprised to see that the call came from my local area code and that it even had a real-life name attached to it. Usually, when I get a scam call telling me that Interpol has me on a watch list and that they'll lock me up forever unless I pay $233 via a very shady e-transfer, it's from a private caller. This time there was a name, Diane Vil. It was still most likely a spam call, but I had been recently playing some modest gigs and opening for up-and-coming artists with my band. I'd made sure to hand out my music business card, "Don't judge me like candy." At this point, I figured it wouldn't hurt to call back, with this small, exciting but irrational what-if thought in the back of my mind. And so I did. After a few rings, I heard someone answer the phone. "Hello," asked a voice on the other end, sounding almost concerned. Curious, "Is that an old lady?" "Hi," I said weakly. "I'm calling because I think I have a missed call from this number from 20-ish minutes ago." "Oh, is that right?" "Wow," she started, her voice weathered and hoarse. "Yep, definitely an old lady. I'm so sorry. I must have misdialed, doll. I forgive you," I thought to myself. Cell phones are a lot, even for me sometimes. As much as I wanted to take this opportunity to ask this woman what her experience with TikTok was to see if the question would melt her brain, I figured it was good to end the call here. "Oh, no worries at all. I hope you have a great day." "Why, thank you, dear," she said. And before I could press that bright red icon with the retro phone handle to sever all ties with this woman for the rest of my life, she quickly squeaked in right after. "I was trying to reach my husband." "Yes, that's what it was. He must have a similar number to you." "Oh right, yeah. I imagined you were probably just off by a digit or two." "Happens all the time," I said, still ready to hang up immediately. "Yes, that's what it was. I was trying to reach my husband, but I called you instead, which means I wasn't able to reach my husband." "That is right, you wonderful sweet old lady. I think, therefore I am. You called me. Therefore you didn't call your husband. Logic. I will try him again now." "Thank you for being so sweet and tender about this," she continued. "Again, no worries at all," I said, hanging up right after to avoid her throwing more mind-blowing revelations my way. Despite my snark at the time, I thought the whole exchange was actually a bit sweet. That was the prevailing thought, anyway, when I saw her name show up on my caller ID a week later to the sweet tunes of Natalie Imbruglia. Screw you, the song's a banger. I decided to answer. "Hello," I said. Diane took a while to respond this time. She almost seemed surprised when she did. "Wait, you're not Martin." "Nope. I think this must be a wrong number." The revelation approached Diane at a glacial pace. Eventually, it clicked for her, and she answered with certainty. "Oh, you must be the same woman I called last time." Your voice sounds so clear." "Yep, it's me again." "Well, my goodness, you must be fuming, but I accidentally reached out to you again." "Not at all, ma'am. You're all good. Best of luck reaching your husband." "Oh, well, it's not my husband this time, actually. It's my brother I'm trying to call." "Gotcha. Well, best of luck." I hung up the call just as she was mid-sentence through her response. I felt rude doing it, but at the same time, you have to nip things like this in the bud, immediately before they drag out. If someone on a cold call or on the street asks you for 20 seconds of your time, be stern, say no, and move on. It's the foot in the door technique, and I had to quash it before she felt empowered to share a series of boring stories with me. It wasn't until nighttime that same day that I realized it was pretty weird that she contacted me on another misdialed call, this time after trying to reach her brother. Did her husband, her brother, and I all have very similar phone numbers or something? I pushed the thought aside and moved on, and after 2 weeks of no misses, I'd assumed that she'd moved on too. It turns out that the third time was the charm, actually. And this time, Diane's reappearance was only frustrating and nothing else. I heard the tail end of my ringtone playing at what must have been till AM in the morning. I got up just as my phone stopped ringing and checked who the call had come from. Diane again, except this time, it wasn't just this one missed call. It was 20. She'd been trying me for over an hour, and I'd just slept through all of it, apparently. I blocked her number and went back to bed. In the morning, I'd noticed that she'd also sent some voicemails. Out of morbid, annoyed curiosity, I decided to give them a listen. I expected to hear a mundane series of messages about her day, an incident at the bank, a complaint that oranges at the supermarket cost 20 cents more than usual, or her frustration that her husband and brother still weren't answering her calls. Instead, as I listened, every voicemail was the same, breathing, just her breathing. One voicemail after another, continuous, running for minutes each time before cutting out to the next message. Occasionally, it felt as if her breathing would rupture, like she was just about to start crying, but she never did. What in the ever-loving expletive? I wasn't sure if I should have been creeped out or if I should have felt really bad. Regardless, I was able to rationalize all of this again. She clearly was just terrible with technology, and the line "leave your message" after the beep meant nothing to her. Never mind the fact that answering machines had been a thing for a really long time before the advent of voicemail. She clearly was just terrible with technology, and the line "leave your message" after the beep meant nothing to her. Never mind the fact that answering machines had been a thing for a really long time before the advent of voicemail. Yes, I would still get a strange sinking feeling in my stomach every time I thought about Diane's series of late-night calls, but overall, the hustle and bustle of everyday life allowed me to put the incident behind me. Then, on a not-so-special day at a not-so-special time, my phone started ringing. I instinctively went to pick it up, as I was actually awaiting a call from one of my friends at that moment. I almost had an aneurysm when I saw the name Diane Vil on the caller ID. My curiosity about how she'd overridden me blocking her number was quickly quashed when I realized that her number looked way different this time. It definitely wasn't from my local area code. She changed numbers to reach me. I answered the phone. "I don't know what the expletive is wrong with you, but stop expletive calling me. I'm completely alone." She interrupted. Her interjection stumped me momentarily. "I'm alone," she continued. "I heard you. My husband, my brother, my family, and friends, they've all passed. I have no one. I'm completely isolated. Look, I'm sorry to hear that, really, but that's no excuse. I just need someone to talk to. Please, just one meaningful conversation, and then you won't need to hear from me anymore." "God damn it, okay," I replied. As weird as this whole ordeal was, seriously, calling a stranger because you're lonely under the pretense that it was just a wrong number. If getting her to talk about the heartache that comes with growing old alone and losing everyone you love was enough to put her at ease, then I could probably burn 10 minutes for it. Secretly, I was more frustrated at the potential kids, grandkids, or extended family that this woman may have had who'd left her all alone with no emotional or social support. "Sometimes it feels like I've always been alone," she started. "And yet, I have memories of a time when life was full. There was company, laughter, liveliness. I can distinctly remember moments where it felt like I had almost done too much socializing, where the presence of others was almost overbearing. "If you can believe it, I can believe it," I answered, but she'd paused. It almost felt like I had to fill the gaps with conversation that just wasn't coming on her end. I continued to monologue for a couple of minutes before Diane finally interjected again. "Well, that's just it. I can distinctly remember times when I felt overwhelmed with company and filled with joy. But all I remember now is this unending sense of solitude, a darkness that always seems to encompass me. And these memories of a happier life seem almost foreign to me, like they were just snippets of a film I watched rather than experiences I lived." At this point, Diane's storytelling was starting to put me on edge. I couldn't shake this growing sense of eeriness. "I get it," I responded. "So what was it like when your husband and brother were around? What kind of company did they keep you with?" There was a long silence on the other end of the phone before she spoke again. "I think it's best if I don't go into too much detail. My husband, my brother, my family, and friends, they were all good people, but it's strange. No matter how many times I tell myself that they were real, that they existed, I can't shake this lingering doubt that I made it all up, that I fabricated an entire lifetime of memories just to cope with this profound loneliness." Chills ran down my spine. I didn't know how to respond to that, but I tried my best. I don't think you're making it up, Diane. I think it's just the isolation playing tricks on your mind. You had a life, you had people, and it's just the loneliness distorting your perception of the past." Her reply was a soft, almost whisper-like, "I hope you're right. But sometimes I think even you're just a figment of my imagination, a voice I conjured to keep myself from going insane." With that, she hung up. I sat there, staring at my phone, trying to process what just happened. The encounter left me deeply unsettled. Was Diane real, or was she a manifestation of something darker? I decided to put my phone on silent and not dwell on it too much. Yet, the thought lingered. What if Diane was telling the truth? What if I was just another figment of her isolation-induced madness,